All right. Thank you all so much for joining another episode of Celeste, the Therapist Podcast. My name is Celeste. I'm a therapist from Boston. Thank you for being here. I have a special guest. I'm going to have you introduce yourself to my audience.
Hello, everyone. I am Natalie Peirre-Louis. I am a business attorney located in Maryland. I am the founder of NPL Consulting LLC, which is a business formation firm. I am an attorney with over 15 years of experience who enjoys helping small businesses and entrepreneurs get their legal foundation ready for their business. I do things like help you get your articles of incorporation, make sure you have contracts, brand protection, and not only helping you get those things, but teaching you how to do them so that you feel more empowered as a business owner.
I love it. And I have a passion for entrepreneurs because I'm an entrepreneur, but more on obviously the cognitive side. I don't know nothing about the legal side, but just kind of like the fear and all that stuff. So I'm like so excited to have you here to talk about like the legal side. So as far as being a lawyer, did you know actually I thought I was going to be a singer because I was singing really well in the shower, but I realized like that was just like I don't know what I was thinking, but I was, I really was like, yep, I'm going to be a singer. And I thought I was doing it, but I wasn't doing nothing. So luckily I realized that early before I went to American Idol. But did you know you were always going to be a lawyer? Is that something that you was like, yep,
No, funny
really?
enough. I went to law school initially because I didn't know what I wanted to do after college. But I was like,
Who does that?
I was like, let me just get a degree.
Who does psychology? Okay, psychology. But Lord, you're ambitious. I like it.
I mean, I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew that I wanted to get another degree. And I figured that a law degree would, provide me with different avenues. And then when I finally decided that it was going to be law school, I did a project for my senior year for my public speaking class. Initially, I thought I wanted to do immigration policy because I did this whole presentation on immigration policy of, Haitian migrants versus Cuban migrants. And I was like all afire. So, I was ready to, put on my cape and do all that. And because I had done an internship with an attorney, I didn't want to do it from the regular, just representation side because it was a big hurry up and wait game. So I was like, let me see if I can get into immigration policy. So I decided to come to the DC area because I wanted to work on Capitol Hill. Unfortunately, those plans didn't work out. But in the course of what I was doing over my career, I picked up a lot of skills. I picked up a lot of experience, both within and outside of the legal field. And I had I've always been a person that my friends turn to when they don't know something. And a lot of my friends, when they were starting their businesses, because I had a pet services business for a few years. So, I knew the process of getting the business started. So my friends would come to me. They're like, oh, can you help me fill out this form? So I was doing it, on the side just for my friends, they'd buy me dinner or something. But then what happened was in the DC area, they had this initiative that came out called I-71, which decriminalized recreational marijuana use, and, they allowed you to gift. But unfortunately, people took that memo and they kind of twisted it to where it was unrecognizable, and you had all of these quote unquote businesses popping up and just doing all manner of crazy things. Like, I was floored. But yeah, once that happened, I realized a lot of these people don't realize that they're breaking the law. They don't realize that there's a lot more that goes into their business than having an Instagram account, and a Cash App account. So I decided to,
no shade to people that is starting that way.
No, all shade, because I'm trying to help y'all protect your thing. All right.
I listen to Natalie like every Monday, so listening to her, I feel like I'm listening to her when you just yelled at us right now. She is right. This is how she is. She's mad passionate. Wait, but for people, just a side note, for people that got the Instagram and Cash App only, this is a good episode, so don't stop it. We're gonna keep going.
Look, I say this with love, okay?
I know she does.
Yes, Because while you can, yes, so I saw all these people, they're just doing whatever they want in the street. And I literally started telling these people, because they were having these pop-up vendor events. And I was like, you guys are going to start getting arrested. And what happened? They started getting arrested. So I started,
Yeah.
giving people tips online, trying to uh let them know that, subtly what you're doing is illegal. But it just spread out to different areas. I had a lot of people, who were creative, made things, or people who just had intellectual property. And there was just so much that I felt like, particularly my community, there was so much talent, there was so much ambition, but they didn't know really how to get it launched the right way. So that's how my business formation firm got started.
Wow, that's amazing. You fell into law school because you didn't know what you wanted to do. I went to college because I didn't know what I wanted to do. And we're in the same age group. So like, college was the only thing they said that was
Yeah.
available to make money. So that was our mindset. Let's just got to do something and get a degree. Uh
Right.
and then start helping people and recognizing the lack of knowledge, which is essentially why I started therapy, because I realized people didn't understand the basics of mental health.
Girl,
Now,
listen.
you mentioned the word intellectual. You mentioned the word intellectual property. Because one thing I want to do today is kind of like just talk about kind of different, like the business arenas and what does that mean? Because I don't think people will even think about uh how do I protect my intellectual property. And only
Mhm.
reason why I know a lot now is from listening to your free live events that you do every week. So I've been learning a lot and just kind of like taking it all in. But what is
Yeah.
intellectual property for people that may not know what that is?
So intellectual property is what you create. So in terms of, and that includes a few things. So trademarks, in terms of trademarks, your intellectual property is your business name or your logo or your catchphrase or, whatever represents your business in the marketplace. That is your trademark, which is your business intellectual property. Now, if you are a creative, like you're a singer and you write songs, or you're a choreographer, or, you write books, your intellectual property protection would be a copyright, because that protects what you make, from your mind, or works of authorship, they call them. And then if you're like an inventor, you like tinkering, you either create, a device that has utility, or if you discover a new strain of plant, or if you have a specific design of something, you can get a patent protection for that. So those all come under intellectual property. There's a few more things, but those are the main ones.
Okay,
Mhm,
that makes sense. And when I decided I was going to start a podcast, I read this book and it talked about trademark. But
mhm.
listening to you, I realized how important. So I've actually started. I trademarked Celeste the therapist, and I also
Woo!
trademarked
Yeah,
shifting the way you think. It's a statement that I say all the
right.
time, right? So like I used to watch a lot of reality shows before this, and I
Mhm.
remember that a phrase would go viral and everything. They would say like, "Oh, like I've trademarked it." I didn't really understand what it was, but I was hearing it and I was like, let me just trademark because I'm always saying shifting the way you think. So
Right.
that's mine.
Good,
So for
good.
people that are hearing the intellectual property for the first time, the importance in thinking about protecting it is because, and if you go to her weekly lives, she gives a lot of examples on people that didn't protect their property and someone else was using it. Maybe it'd be helpful if you give an example that people can maybe like is it Blue Ivy or did what Beyonce's daughter didn't do you remember that there was a
Oh,
wedding?
yeah. Oh,
You want to use that example?
okay, yeah, so,
Okay.
well, that one's a
Oh,
little bit complicated.
okay. Use one
Um,
that's not complicated that you can think
one
of.
that's super simple. So let's just say why trademarks are important. There was a story I covered. This woman, she had this bakery or some type of food business for over 10 years. Very popular in her area, doing well. 10 years. Never trademarked her name. Another company trademarked that name, sent her a cease and desist. She had to change her entire business name, all of her marketing, all of that, because she did not own the name as a trademark. And that's 10 years of goodwill. Like, think about it, if your restaurant is called, Celeste's Restaurant, and somebody trademarks Celeste Restaurant, and you just have to change up everything, your menus, your flyers, your napkins, all of that. That's a lot of work. Yeah.
So when
So
you talk about foundation, because obviously, like, if we don't know the foundation, we end up maybe losing money down the road, or
absolutely. Hmm.
okay, and having to like rebrand and all of that. Go ahead.
Right. So, and I know that people get caught up in the intellectual property, but and that's a big piece of it, but it's not just the intellectual property. It's making sure that your business is actually registered. It's making sure that you have all your numbers together, like paying taxes. It's making sure that you have contracts for your clients and partners, so they know that they can't use your intellectual property. So while intellectual property is a big piece of it and it's an important piece, there are a lot of pieces to the puzzle. So I try, when I work with my clients one-on-one, while the show is a lot of it is focused on intellectual property, when I work on my one-on-ones, we kind of look at the whole business.
Yeah, yeah. And I've paid for a session with her because I one of my shifting the way you think, I wanted to make it into a LLC and just kind of understanding what that is. So I want to talk about registering your stuff. And I also
Mhm.
want to talk about LLC and sole proprietor, just some basic stuff for people, because I know when the pandemic happened, it was giving out a lot of PPP loans. A lot of people was hopping
And
on.
Biden just hired people to start investigating y'all, so I hope you have the coins ready.
No, he did. Did he really?
Yes, they're gonna be investigating
My
PPP for
not
y'all.
my audience. My audience is straight. We weren't doing the scams.
That's right. That's right. That's what we pray. Um,
So let's talk about registering your business, because I know it's different from city to city, state to
right.
state, right? Like, I'm sure it's going to look different. But
Um,
in general, what can you say to people about the idea of being a registered business?
Okay. While there might be minor differences from state to state, it's not that different. You just need to know what business entity you want to be, whether that be an LLC or a corporation. Notice I'm not saying sole proprietorship or partnership. Um, because why am I doing that? Because within business entities, you have some that have unlimited liability and limited liability. You want an entity that's limited liability because if something happens to the business, you don't want them coming after your stuff. If you have jewelry, if you have cars and things like that in your personal assets, right? Let's say you rich in real life, but your business isn't doing well. Somebody sues the business don't have it, and you're a sole proprietor. They're coming after those cars, they're coming after that jewelry, and you will be, in the wind talking about what happened, right? So that's why you want to pick an entity with limited liability, which would be an LLC or one of the three types of corporations: S corps, C corps, or a B corp. Mhm.
Nice, that's good. And then so the registering your business is important. And then tell people what an EIN is. So
So
for people,
when
yeah.
you're registering your business, you also need an EIN number. Just like you have a social security number, I have a social security number, your business needs a social security number. That's how you're going to file taxes. That's how you're going to pay your employees. That's how you're going to be able to set up a business bank account. Your EIN number, like, think about all the things that you use your social security number for, and what would happen if you didn't have a social security. We come from a Haitian background. When people don't have social security numbers, you can't do nothing. You can't really do
Can't do
nothing,
nothing.
right?
Can't do
So
shit.
if your business doesn't have a social security number, can't do nothing, bruh.
Yeah.
Um, yes. So you need an EIN number. You also want to think about getting a DUNS number, especially if you want to get your products into big box stores like Target, or if you're trying to get a business loan or establish business credit, or well, not so much now. They used to use it for federal contracting, but you'll need a DUNS number so you can start establishing business credit, so that you can, and it also kind of creates a report card for your business. So that,
Mm.
if Target wants to consider getting your products into their store, they're going to look at your DUNS number report to see if you're a good supplier, if you've paid your bills, things like that. All
Oh,
right.
like a credit report,
Yes.
essentially.
Yes. A DUNS report is basically a credit report for your business.
Oh, okay, okay, that's good. And
Mhm.
now so that's the registration, EIN.
Mhm.
And then the next thing is a sole proprietor. So I know when I started out, you weren't around. Well, I didn't know where you were because I would have never did sole proprietor. Uh I'm transferring everything over to the LLC because I
Mhm.
recognize liability and all of that. And I do, as a sole proprietor, it was easy to start. I didn't have to pay $500
Oh yeah, it's
to get.
$500 in
Yeah, the
Massachusetts.
LLC. Oh yeah, LLC. So every state is okay. I'm gonna let you the expert. I'm just like regurgitating stuff I'm learning from you. But uh, sole proprietor, tell people what that is, an LLC. You just talked about one major difference is the liability that
Right.
happens. But go ahead.
So sole proprietor is like you don't need anything. You can literally just if let's say I don't know, you are a handyman and you do odd jobs. It's not something you do regularly, but not enough where you feel like it's going to be a business. You can just, do that as a sole proprietor. All you need is your social security number. You can register as a DBA with your state if you want to. That doesn't cost too much. And you can just go about your business, right? But um like if it's not that much money, then you can just go about your business. And then what you'll do at the end of the year, again, I'm not an accountant, but your tax person will be able to lower your look, I'm not a tax person, but your tax person is going to be able to get you some deductions that you won't that that you'll be able to get against your regular salary. So if you have a regular job, right? But when you have the LLC or you have the corporation, with the LLC, depending on how you choose to be taxed, that business will just be taxed by itself, right? All right. I mean, I'm explaining as best again, I'm not an accountant. Please don't take any financial advice from me.
No, but you're right about the whole taxes thing because my goal
Yeah,
is to pay myself from the LLC.
yeah.
And we're both not tax accountants, but just from the knowledge that I've learned, you're absolutely right. Now you
All right.
keep saying S corp for people that don't know what that is, corporation. The difference
Yeah.
between that. What does that mean?
So, corporations in general, they are considered people in the eyes of the law. Okay. So the corporation itself can be sued. The corporation can sue other people. If the corporation is sued and there's a lawsuit against the corporation, they can't come after your personal stuff because the corporation itself is its own person. Right. Now, within corporations, you have three different types. You have S corps, C corps, and B corps. S corps are easy, but there are a few limitations. You can only have up to 75 investors and they have to be US based. C Corps are more if you're going the international route. And then B Corps are if you are if you're like an environmentally conscious business and that's part of your business model, you can register yourself as a B Corp. Okay.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But it sounds like a lot of people, they probably fall under the lines of LLC, like kind of the majority of the people
Maybe
that.
the entity, but when you're designated, when you are telling, while you can have an LLC, that doesn't tell the government how you want to be taxed. You still need to have your accountant, figure out whether with an LLC you have the option of being taxed as, a sole proprietor or partnership in like a pass through entity, or you can be taxed as a corporation. So there's kind of a second
Mm.
step with the LLC.
Okay, that makes sense.
Mhm.
Now, when it comes to contracts, because this is something that I know, like when I had my book cover done in the contract, it was like you have to put my information in the cover in the book, right? Like I
Mhm.
made sure to read the contract. One thing that you've done a lot of is talk about places where people didn't have a contract, and how it kind of like screwed them up. Tell people about like a contract and why it's so important and how they can protect themselves with one.
Contracts are important because things happen. Look at COVID. There were so many contracts that people were trying to figure out what to do, because they didn't have what is called a force majeure clause, which is basically something that says if something catastrophic and unexpected happens, here is what we're going to do. Right. So now a lot of contracts, you're going to be seeing them with these force majeure clauses. When you don't have a contract that covers something, you are going to get left holding the bag. My favorite example is again, I have a colleague. They ran a business with their partner for 3 years, no contracts, no paperwork, name wasn't on anything. They built the business. Relationship went sour. The other partner, whose name was on everything, locked them out of the business. So they had to go to court to fight to get access back to their business. Now, if they had had, a partnership agreement or, an operating agreement, that could have, lessened the work that they had to do to reestablish, their claim on the business. Also, contracts are really important when you're trying to sue people. So there was like non-disclosure agreements. There's this there's a company, I don't know, have you heard of Olaplex hair products?
No.
So I talked about them a couple of years ago. They had a non-disclosure agreement with L'Oreal. They went into talks because L'Oreal was interested in a hair product they had. And they were like, okay, well, we're going to be showing you, our patented formulas and things like that. So you need to sign this thing. They signed it. L'Oreal, they had discussions. L'Oreal was like, you know what? We passed. L'Oreal basically came out with the identical same product. Okay. So not only did they violate their patent, but they violated the agreement. And L'Oreal ended up having to pay this company $100 million in damages.
Oh, snap.
So contracts are very important. And another one, sorry,
Sorry,
real
before
quick.
you tell me the other one, if they didn't have that contract and L'Oreal is probably, I recognize the L'Oreal brand, L'Oreal would have been able to just keep moseying along with
Well,
their.
they probably could have, it was both a patent infringement and a contract breach case. So it was like a mix of the two.
Damn.
Right. And then the
Okay.
most recent one, I talked about this on Monday. Jay-Z just won a $4.7 million judgment against a perfume company because the perfume didn't do well. The company tried to sue Jay-Z and say that he didn't promote it well. The court was like, that's not right. And then not only that, when they basically fell out with Jay-Z, they stopped paying him royalties. So Jay-Z went to court and was like, I don't care if we're not getting along. You still got to pay me my money. And they have to pay Jay-Z now about $5 million.
Damn.
Yes. So contracts are very, very, very important. I don't care if it is.
Right, because.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. You
I
don't
don't care
care
if
if
it's
it's
your
who.
priest, your mother, your child, your husband, your wife. I don't know, your whoever you hold dear to you. Things just happen. It's not just people
Yeah.
lying, people's memories fade, and things
Yeah.
just happen. So you need a written contract, just in case the unthinkable happens.
Yeah, I was thinking of when I thought about contracts, I was thinking about with other people, but I'm glad you talked about the within like your colleague or just kind of within your business. I think a lot of people they start and it's exciting at first starting a
Mhm.
business, especially if you're passionate about becoming an entrepreneur or whatever the product is that you're doing. I know how exciting it is, but I also know that life happens and without that contract I think it gets more muddier than it needs to be.
Right, exactly. It's like my favorite phrase when I started this business, I was like, "Bet is not an enforceable contract." In the DMV, we know, when they say they're going to
They
do
said
something, they
that.
say bet.
That.
I'm like, you can't take that to court, honey. You need something written down on paper.
Maybe Judge Judy's court or one of the
No.
TV courts.
Look, Judge Judy loves a written contract. Okay.
She does. That's my girl. She does. She does. Okay.
Yes.
So we talked about intellectual property. We talked about EIN, registering your business. We talked about contracts within the business and also contracts that extend even outside the business with the examples that you gave. For people that are finding some form of like enlightenment in this and they want to work on, let's just say, starting with registering their business and stuff, what would you say let's say they have an idea, like
Mhm.
what would the first step be? Because there's a lot of moving parts for people. Like what would you say? Like I'll give an example. Let's just say they're starting a podcast. What would you say
Okay.
like the first thing they need to do?
The first thing you need to do legal wise is you want to choose what business structure are you going to set up your podcast business under, right?
Mhm,
So
mhm.
whether that's an LLC or a corporation, or if it's something that you're not really that worried about if you're making like, I don't know, 50 cents an episode, maybe you decide to go the sole proprietorship route. I don't recommend it, but
Mm-hmm,
whatever.
mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, the heck. Um, so I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. A text just came in
No,
on my
you were saying no, it's okay. You said the sole proprietor route, and I remember one time you talked about Dove, and oh, you said Dove chocolate and the Dove bar, like,
oh,
but they're in two different areas. But one thing I think about with people, like, let's just say a podcast, the name, making sure like the name isn't like used anywhere, right?
right.
Um,
So with Dove chocolate and Dove soap, right? When you have a trademark, you only have your trademark in your industry. So if you think
mm-hmm, okay.
about the Dove soap and Dove chocolate, soap and chocolate are two different industries. They
Mm-hmm,
don't they don't intersect. So therefore
mm-hmm.
you can have a Dove chocolate and a Dove um soap. Now,
Yep.
let's say we have two soap brands. You can't have
Mm-hmm,
Dove soap and Dove soap. It's going to cause
mm-hmm,
confusion in the marketplace, right?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So what you would do is you would check on the USPTO website to
mm-hmm,
see if your podcast name has been trademarked for a podcast. Now,
mm-hmm,
if it's trademarked in another area, you're still good. You just can't do it in that
mm-hmm.
area.
Yep. Yep.
If it's like for jewelry and you don't care about jewelry, who cares? So you're gonna
Yeah. Yeah.
trademark in the podcast area. All right. So that's and if it's not registered federally, you're still going to want to do some research within your state website to see if somebody has secured the name. There is
Yeah.
a state trademark, but it's only good in your region. And then just do a
Oh,
Google
okay.
search. Google is your best
Yeah,
friend.
just
Yes.
yes, yes, it is. So the USPTO, that's federal for people. That's something that you can go on and look at for free. Type in the name. You'll
Absolutely.
see
The
my name
US
there.
if you go to or if you can do a Google search for TESS
Mhm,
trademark search. That is their tool that will allow you to search their entire database of registered trademarks.
mhm, mhm. And so you do that. You check out the name. You register. And then the EIN is a simple process. Tell people what that looks like because it's super easy. I don't think people
EIN
know how
process.
easy it is.
Listen, and I'm telling you, listen, y'all. Okay.
Listen,
Um,
Linda.
yes, I have heard of people paying anywhere between 75 and
I know.
$125 for an
Yeah,
EIN
it's
number.
so easy.
You should not be paying for an EIN number if the person is not also teaching you how to get an EIN number. It takes
Yeah.
15 minutes and you get your number right there. I've heard people they have to
Yep.
wait 2-3 weeks. I'm like, what? Um, an EIN number, just literally Google register for an EIN number. It takes 15
Yeah.
minutes on the IRS website and you will get your EIN number right then and there. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've done it twice. I had it for the sole proprietor, and then when I was transferring to LLC, I went on and I got the email. I went to the bank with it, and I was able
Mhm.
to kind of register it there. And for people with the Cash App businesses and stuff like that, just kind of
Mhm.
know this year the government is starting to look at that stuff. They want you to report everything. Um, but in order to start like a business account, you do need some you need papers. You need some kind of
Yeah,
papers that
they're gonna
shows, right?
ask most banks are gonna ask for your articles of incorporation. They're probably going to
Mhm.
ask for an operating agreement. Some do, some don't. If you're looking for a business account, they're probably gonna want it. They may want a DUNS number as well. So you
Mhm.
need to get all of that in order. Okay.
Yes. And I
Mhm.
would really encourage people because I know like we're like, I mean, this is a short, I mean, this is just a podcast episode and it feels like a lot. And I know it does. Like when I was first starting out, it felt like a lot of moving parts. I did a lot of research, right? Now I can afford to like talk to somebody like Natalie. Before I couldn't. So Google is your friend. And I feel like if I build a house on rocky foundation, like it could be as beautiful as ever, but if the foundation is rocky, then it's gonna collapse, right?
Right.
So like I think well, not think, I know just from just watching Natalie and listening to her, you're extremely passionate about making sure the foundation is solid, right?
I do, because I really think that entrepreneurship is one of the best ways someone can turn around their fortune. You may
Yeah.
not be able to get that dream job, you may not come from a rich family, but you can
Yep.
always start a business and work the hell out of it, and make a
Yeah.
life for yourself, as long
Yeah.
as you understand how to run it properly.
Mhm, mhm. And so one thing that Natalie does is she has classes, which is very like amazing and dope, that you can actually do on your own. Can you tell? I think we know why you created these classes, and this is one of those classes that I would have taken, and it would have saved me a lot of Google time. I would have been able to afford the class if I had have known about it then. I mean, it wraps everything up into a package. But tell people about the class and what they can expect from it if they're listening to this and they kind of
Okay.
want like a nice little cliff notes version of
Okay.
what to do.
So I do create a lot of digital products. Some people, they need time to work through things. So I have a lot of video trainings that I do. So I have one specifically for EIN numbers. I have one specifically for DUNS numbers. I have one that's an overall one that I call Business Startup Basics, and it's just basically a crash course letting you know here are the things that you need to take care of to make sure that your business is in order, because for me it's easy because I've done it so many times. When you're first starting out and you don't know what the pieces are that you need to fit together, sometimes just
It's
having
hard.
that
Yeah.
that blueprint laid out to you can make things a whole lot better. Like, I have this PDF that I created. It's a free download. I call it my biz launch cheat sheet, right? People have been able to take that and literally just run with it. All they needed was somebody to
Yeah.
let them know, what should I be looking out for.
Yeah, that's good. So, and they could find that on your website, right? They could
Yes.
find
So
all of that on your website.
if you go to Linktree/NPL consulting firm, that's where you can get the cheat sheet. That's where you can access my digital products. That's where you can get the links to my social media. So you can join me on Monday nights at 8 p.m.
Yes, 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 yes. And so like, let's say they do the sheet. Natalie also offers services where you can do like a consultation, pay a
Right.
fee, and see you. Tell people about those consultation sessions that you do.
So, yes, so I do offer free 15-minute consultations for first-time clients. If you are not a first-time client, but you just need to talk to me for a few minutes, I have a Talk to Me Tuesday session where you can get 30
Mhm,
minutes for $35. My regular 1-hour sessions start at 289. Now, usually those are for people who are just starting out and they need a whole plan. So
mhm.
those 289 sessions, they come with like a document that I create for you that is tailored for your business, as well as 1 hour of my
Nice.
time, and we go through the whole process. Yeah.
Nice, that's good. I did the 30-minute one that worked out really well. I went into action right then. But obviously I was already established, so I didn't have too many questions. But
Mhm.
I love the idea of people like that may have like a slew of questions. I'm sure you use that like biz sheet and just kind of like create it tailored to them based off of kind of like your little cheat sheet that you created for us that's
Yeah,
free,
it's
but
like,
you walk through it with them.
well, no, that is just kind of like a checklist. What I do is like, we talk, you tell me what your business is. I do all the
Uh,
research. You need licensing, how much is it going to cost you? Where do you file the application? All those things, those little things, because having to look for those links, having to look for those applications, having to look for those places, that's usually what gets people confused because they don't know where to
I
go. But
know,
if
I
you have
know.
but if you have the map right there in front of you with the links and everything, you can just get it done.
I know, I know. You're so right, especially with all of these ads and people knowing, like trying to
Mhm.
create websites close to it, and then you're on something that ain't even a USPTO. You want some other stuff, paying to search what something that's
And
free.
yeah, I had a client who I helped get a trademark, and she was getting all sorts of like junk mail, and she got scared. She would be like, "Is this important? Is this important?" I'd be like, Girl, they're just trying to take your money. Throw them
Yeah,
away."
they are. Yep. Oh, this is so good. I think I'm not think I know people have learned a lot. I am always like around people that talk about business and wanting to do them. But I know, especially people that look like you and I, who may not come from an entrepreneurship family, may not know like there's a foundation, right? Like, and people do really great products. I think about like back in the day, like a lot of products that were made were from Black people, but obviously back then we didn't have the ability to create patents and stuff because other people took over. And now, like, I feel like we should really exercise our ability to protect, our creativity the way that, we create things that, make sure you're protecting them. I think that's important.
Yes. Oh, one more example, a post Black History Month example for why you
You know
want to
what's
get
crazy?
more.
That's crazy. That was gonna be my last question, Natalie. I was gonna say, before you leave, give us one more reminder. Dang, that's crazy. We in
Listen, we
alignment.
on the same wavelength,
That was
okay?
literally my thing. I was like, we gotta take us out on something crazy. Go ahead.
Um, if you ever had a super soaker growing up, the man who created the super soaker, the patent for that was owned by a Black man named Lonnie Johnson. Lonnie Johnson, okay? Lonnie Johnson was an engineer. He had multiple patents. He created the super soaker, but the super soaker company didn't pay him his money for like 20 some odd years. He had been going back and forth through the court with them for over 2 decades. He finally won. I think he won like $75 million or something. It was like a crazy amount. Mhm.
Dang. So he patented that property, the super soaker. He patented it.
Mhm. And I don't
Oh,
I,
that's
I don't know if he was working. Somehow, he probably sold the design to who makes Super Soakers? Nerf.
I'm
That
not sure.
company,
Uh-huh.
and he didn't, give them exclusive right to it, and they probably had an agreement where they were supposed to pay him royalties and they didn't. So, all of that with compounded interest, run me my money, son.
Wait, do you think that like the companies that do this do it because it's he's just Lonnie? Like they think you think they do you think they know they owe him, or they just don't?
Yeah, a lot of
That's
these big companies,
crazy.
they use the fact that, especially they're looking to steal from smaller companies, first of all, because they assume that a lot of these newer companies, smaller companies, don't have their intellectual property
Oh,
protected. And if they have a lot of money, they have the luxury of dragging these things out, whereas a
I know,
smaller
20
company,
years.
right, doesn't necessarily have the money to, hold up a big litigation
Right.
over years and years and years.
Right. Okay. Okay. So the moral of the story is we need to protect our property, baby. Right?
Look, in this day more than ever, especially with the metaverse coming out, and metaverse it's not something that's just, located in your locality. It's worldwide. So intellectual property is going to become very important.
Oh my gosh, the metaverse, that you've been talking about that lately, and it just blows my mind.
I'm trying to
Really
avoid
quick,
it, girl, and
since
I
you brought
can't.
it up, somebody who was it, McDonald's? What was
Yes,
you telling him? You just because
McDonald's.
they met.
McDonald's filed a trademark for the metaverse, and you're going to be able to go in the metaverse, go into a virtual McDonald's restaurant and order food, and they will deliver it to you in real life.
Wow, that's
Why can't I
crazy.
just use
Like,
the app? I don't understand.
I know we went through this already, Natalie. Just let it go. Oh, I said that because she said it on her live, and I was like, "Well, it's easier. They're already there." You was like, "All right, Celeste, but I still don't get it."
Look, I'm old, okay? I don't like new technology. I don't even have a TikTok.
Oh,
I refuse.
oh my gosh. Oh, this was so good. This is Natalie's energy for her lives in person. Like, you're pretty amazing.
Oh,
Um
thank
I
you. I think you're dope
I
too.
think I think of lawyers as really stiff, not like you talk about run me my money, son. I love it. I need this in my life.
We're not
Okay.
stuffy. They portray us like that, but trust me, lawyers are not stuffy.
Okay. Is it just the TV stuff? Because I don't know no
Yes.
lawyers in real life.
I mean, we
Okay.
do have professional responsibility that we have to be
Right.
aware of. But I mean, if I'm not on the clock, leave me alone.
Oh my gosh. Okay, this was awesome. Tell people one more time how they can reach you. Also, you guys, in the show notes, you'll find the link to all of her Instagram, her Facebook, her YouTube, her website. Get that session, download that. I say just start with downloading that sheet. If there's something you don't understand, you can move to the class, and then you can move. There's levels to this. I think for people, and try not to get discouraged by the amount of things that needs to get done. Create a checklist. Just start checking it off, because the few examples she gave today should be enough information to let you know why it's important to really protect yourself and your property that you put time and energy in to create. I think it's important. So tell people how they can reach you.
You can reach me. The best way is to go to linktree/NPL consulting firm. That is linktr.ee/NPL consulting firm. At that link, you can subscribe to my social media platforms. You can download the Biz Launch cheat sheet. You can check out my digital products. You can set up a one-on-one session. Everything is at linktree/NPL consulting firm. And if you want my social media handles, I'm on IG at NPL consulting firm, Facebook at NPL consult. I'm on YouTube.
You're on YouTube, yeah. I watch
NPL consulting firm. I can't remember.
It's okay. And go to the notes. You'll find it. Thank you, Natalie. This was so amazing. I'm so grateful to you for your transparency, your energy, everything that you do. I'm grateful. And she was a sponsor at my live show, by the way, too. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
Thank you for spreading the word, girl. I'm trying to spread the business formation gospel all around the world.
That's right. We need our stuff patent, baby. Bye.